question. Do you have a minute?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was learning on jw.org about the two different groups, like the anointed and the other sheep. Is that what they're called?
Yes.
Okay, so a Jehovah Witness told me that the verse Matthew 5:5, he was trying to show the earthly class. Happy are the mild
Sorry, I
tempered.
can't hear you. The phone's it's a bit low.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, but it's just a bit
How's
it's almost
that?
it's close to a whisper, so it's a bit difficult to hear.
Oh, is that better?
Yes, that's a bit better.
Okay. So anyway, some Jehovah Witnesses told me about Matthew 5:5, which says, well, the New World Translation says, "Happy are the mild tempered, since they will inherit the earth." Some translations say, "Blessed are the meek." Um, so they were trying to tell me that that means the earthly class. Is
Yes.
okay. So I was looking it up more, and I found that in this book they have called Insight on the Scriptures. You can look up different topics. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yes,
Um,
I am familiar with
so
it.
it says right here, the anointed members of the Christian congregation are spoken of as having a heavenly inheritance, sharing Jesus' inheritance as his brothers. This includes the earth. And then they put Matthew 5:5. Now, you can't prove it's about the earthly class when this says it's about the anointed class.
It does prove that actually.
No, it says here that it's using Matthew 5:5 to say that the anointed inherit the earth.
The anointed will be taken to heaven to serve along with Jesus. While the earthly class have the earthly hope.
Okay, I'm just reading to you from your own literature. The anointed members of the Christian congregation are spoken of as having a heavenly inheritance, sharing Jesus' inheritance as his brothers. This includes the earth. Do you know what I'm getting at? Hello? Something called JW Broadcasting on jw.org. Do you watch those?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in the recent one, um, he said the speaker in the first part said, humility will help us to survive the end of the system of things. Do you know what he means by that? I've never heard anything like that before, so I'm not very familiar with that idea.
That's okay.
Okay.
So, what he meant by that is, so you know how being humble um, means that we're how do I put this? um, I'm sorry, you caught me off guard with the question, but makes us more teachable, by God. So the more humble you are, the more um, open you are to being corrected on certain things, and that's what God looks for. Humble people, so that the end of the system of things is when um, this world that we live in, with the corrupt system and all that, um, comes to an end, and God's kingdom instead is the main government over the entire earth.
So when you said humility means we obey God, um,
Um, that we're more willing to obey God.
okay.
When you're humble, um, you're not proud and thinking, uh, I know everything. I I'm always right. That's a proud person. Being humble, we're open to God saying that, um, you maybe change these things about the way you live your life because it's not to the standards of his written word.
Well, I did a little searching on the online library because that's very
Mm,
helpful. It's a very helpful resource. And I found this. I just wanted to see what your thought because I was looking up more about humility.
okay.
Humility leads God's people to appreciate His organization and to stay with it as integrity keepers. So, is that what it means by obey God?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it means obey the leaders of the organization? That seems like what it's saying.
Pretty much.
Oh,
So the
wow.
leaders of yeah, the leaders of the organization, they are directed, in a sense by God.
In a
They pray
sense.
about certain decisions and then make their decision off of how they, you know, think would be the best course of action. So by obeying them, we're in a sense obeying God.
So they're kind of like Moses, like the voice of God today.
Um, I wouldn't say that specifically
Really?
because God hasn't spoken to anybody since Jesus' time. So he hasn't directly spoken to people. So I wouldn't say voice of God specifically.
What about
I would
channel?
say
What about channel of God? Channel of
channel
truth.
of God.
Mhm.
Um, I guess that would be a better term for it.
Hmm.
Um, more, yeah, yeah. I guess. Um, so so God's name is Jehovah. Um, I just wanna, because I'm just gonna say Jehovah, and I don't want you to be confused. You know who I'm talking about. um,
I'm familiar with the
okay, so
tetragrammaton, if that's what you mean.
okay,
Okay.
I wasn't sure. Not a lot of people are today, so
Really?
I just yeah, it is a surprising amount of people who don't
Oh,
know that God has
all they
a
have to
personal
do
name,
is read the front of their Bible, that
right?
a lot of translations use capital LORD as a
Mm,
signification, just like the word Jehovah is a signification, a gestat word, because we don't have all the letters, you
yeah.
know. So anyway,
So
when
yeah,
you say channel, uh, doesn't a channel mean like a conduit? So really God is speaking through them. They are the channel of truth. Now channel I find a
so
very strange term to use for themselves because channeling is an occultic type term for most people.
okay,
So that's kind of
yeah.
interesting.
Mm. So channel is the best word that I can think
Mm,
of right now.
really?
Because I'm not,
Uh-huh.
you know, kind of caught me off guard with all the questions.
Yeah.
I wasn't really prepared to, answer the phone this morning. I was actually just headed out to go in the field ministry,
Oh, okay. Well, I
as
appreciate that you
you
did.
usually do.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that you did.
Um, could I take down your name and number just, so somebody could call you back, if you, or you could call again,
Oh, okay. I
or
could
if
call
you had more
again.
questions?
Yeah. Are you in Wisconsin?
Yes,
Where
we
are
are.
you in
We're in Rice Lake.
Wisconsin?
Huh?
Where in Wisconsin?
Rice Lake, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. I love Wisconsin because I grew up in Chicago, and that was where we always went for vacations. You know, because there's so many lakes and fishing and swimming and stuff like that. So I just have
Yeah.
although I know we did that in the summer, not in the winter. So I know
Well,
winter is
yeah,
long.
yeah. Winter is kind of it's a tundra out here.
I know, I know. I live in Arizona now, not Chicago, so
Oh,
I don't really
yeah,
miss that part. But hey, thanks for
yeah,
being so nice to me about that question.
yeah. No problem.
Okay.
So just a second. I gotta open my notes app on my phone because I don't have a piece of paper. um, let me just make a new one. Okay. So, what was your name?
Christine.
Christine. Okay. So, can I get a last name or?
I don't think so. Do you want
Oh, okay,
could
that's
you
fine.
if you wanna text me back later or someone else can text me back because I might not be able to answer the phone later because I have a job.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Um, just a second. Could I get your? Okay. So somebody should be calling you or texting you.
Okay.
Probably. I don't know. I shouldn't say like later today because I don't know for sure.
Okay.
But sometime soon.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good. Hey, thanks a lot.
All
God
right.
bless.
Christine,
Okay.
All
I
right.
just had a
Bye.
quick
Have a good day.
question about something. Does anybody have a minute?
Go ahead.
Well, I was looking into some of the origins of the organization because I like to read about religions. Um, and I was surprised that Russell was a Zionist. Did you know that?
You can find a lot of our history on
Hmm.
our website jw.org.
Yeah, I
Read up on
wasn't.
some of that.
This has reference to all their publications. This what I'm looking at. Did you know he was a Zionist and he was important in the movement of, um, bringing the Jews back to the Holy Land?
I would just recommend you check out the website. I have
I'm
a lot
just
of
kind of
stuff, not just
confused
on
by
the
it.
ancient history, but on the.
Yeah, I'm just kind. Origins are important. Like one of your books says that it's important to know the origins of things. Um, I'm just confused by it because after when they changed it, they said that's something a movement that's inspired by the devil.
Well, we're looking forward to the time when there won't be any national boundaries.
So what do you think
God
about
didn't
that?
want his lions on the earth.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Do you think that what Russell was teaching and working toward that? And they were still teaching it in 1919 when Jesus chose them as the true religion, but the Zionism is inspired by the devil. I thought they were totally
Well, they made a number of
cleansed and all that.
adjustments, I'm sure.
What?
I mean, they made a number of adjustments. They're still
Adjustment? That's not an
celebrating
adjustment. Saying
Christmas.
no, it can't.
Sure,
Saying
it
you it
is.
was previously
I mean,
inspired by the
there were
devil.
a number of things that had to be slowly adjusted. I've always kind of admired the early ones because they weren't afraid to say, well, we got a closer look and changed our view of a couple of things based on some further studies. I
No,
admire
it
that
wasn't
about them.
like that.
Like I
You're
said,
kind of
they were
using certain type of
smoking
words.
cigarettes, celebrating Christmas, using the
Yeah.
cross. All those things kind of had to go.
Yeah, like worshiping Jesus too, and now they say it's idolatry. So I guess they were doing idolatry until the 1950s, or that's wrong. That it's not idolatry. Isn't that interesting? I mean, they use such harsh words to talk about things that they did before, like Zionism is inspired by Satan, but then they want to say at the same time, there's just a little adjustment. It's like the total opposite.
No, I would consider any adjustment. You
Yeah.
learn something new. You
You keep
study
using
something a
that.
little more thoroughly.
Yeah. Did they teach false
Um,
things or no? They never did taught false things, right?
well, I mean, if you would consider like celebrating Christmas or something, it's a pagan holiday. And they used to celebrate that. So
It's kind of hard.
after
Can
further
you speak up a
research,
little?
what? I'm going to recommend that you go to our website.
Oh,
There's a
right.
publication called
Right. I just wonder.
Proclaimers.
Oh, yeah, that book.
Have a look at that.
I've seen it. It
Then
it
you're
just
gonna.
leaves out so much. It's incredible. I think you should look at the original books. Did you know in the latest broadcast he said when you get a chance, he referred to when you get a chance to look at Russell's books? So they must recommend it now. So I think it would be real enlightening to see what the foundations, you want to talk to people about Constantine and everything. Well, that's much more recent. And, they said they were chosen in 1919. So it might be interesting to see what they were actually teaching as they call themselves the only truth, even at that time. But anyway, hey, thanks for talking to me about it. Did you listen to the
You have a
recent
good
one?
morning.
God bless.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was interested in something he was saying. It was in the first talk. He said that humility will help us survive the end of the system of things.
Mm-hmm.
What does he mean by that?
The fact that there are going to be, well, think about the nation of Israel. When they left Egypt, and they were told to go to the Red Sea. Well, that seemed insanity, right? Why would you put me at the Red Sea? You got the Egyptians on one side. How are we going to escape? But they obeyed. They humbly listened. So near the end, we may be given direction that we might feel a little odd. Well, humility will make us listen and be obedient regardless. We would do what we're supposed to do. So that's what it's referring to. As when we humbly submit to God's direction, even though it may seem a little different, we show humility, we show humbleness, obedience.
Are you saying that the Jehovah Witness leaders are the equivalent of like Moses and the leaders of Israel?
Jehovah has always no, but Jehovah
They're
has
not?
always
Okay.
used people. Well, they direct us. The Bible refers to them as the faithful and discreet slave who gives us food at its proper time.
It does?
So at the proper time, it directs us
How do,
scripturally.
how do they identify themselves in that parable? I never thought about that. I mean, it's just really embedded with other parables like the talents and the foolish and wise virgins, and they're all kind of saying the same thing, to be faithful and ready. Um, Anybody could
Yeah,
say that they are the faithful slave. Why would you think that they are the faithful slave in particular? It's not really actually
because
teaching that somebody is. It's like within the story, he's telling a story about being faithful or unfaithful. He's not making like a prophecy.
so, Christine,
Uh-huh.
have you ever studied with Jehovah's
I
Witnesses?
did. I did. But I don't understand. I
Mm-hmm.
never heard about this humility thing.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
really
you have to.
interesting because in the Bible, I've never heard it mean to submit to some like organization in New Testament times. I mean, and I did find in the online
Well,
library,
didn't the a nation? Didn't the early Christians have to put the word acquiesce to the thought that okay, they didn't have to circumcise foreigners,
right.
and Gentiles,
Hmm.
so they humbly submitted to the direction of that body, that body of brothers who, through Holy Spirit and reading God's Word, came was given that conclusion that it was necessary for Gentiles to be circumcised, and so all the Christians had to submit to that agreement, and there were some
So
that wouldn't, and because of that, they caused division in the congregation. They caused trouble
So you do
because they didn't
realize
humbly.
that in that early century, the first Christian church growth is described in the book of Acts. You realize that apostles were still alive at that time, including Paul.
That was the ones that
Yeah,
were doing it.
who did
Yeah.
who also did validating miracles called signs and wonders. It says that the signs of
Yeah.
an apostle followed them, and the governing body really doesn't have any signs and wonders. All they have is a interesting history of changes and flip-flops and false prophecies. Why would
Okay.
that
Well,
prove that they're
sweetie,
the truth?
Christine, thank
Mhm.
you for talking with us.
Thank you so
We'll be happy
much.
to study with you if you want to.
No, thanks.
Okay.
Jesus
Well,
warned of false
thank
prophets.
you, dear.
What do you
Bye.
think about that?